As mentors, we take a personalised approach to development, working with the learning needs of our mentees, but there are always some parameters to define and some boundaries to the mentoring role. There are roles we're perhaps not prepared to play, such as mediator, manager, sponsor, or legal advisor, and so we redirect our mentees to the right person for the job. One predictable uncertainty we'll all face is where to draw the boundary between mentoring and counselling. Colleagues with a counselling need sometimes seek out the support of a mentor due to the confidential, one-to-one nature of the approach. There are similarities between the styles of conversation as well, as they've got common origins. Mentoring is not counselling, though, because the context for the learner and their learning needs are different. In mentoring, we're not working with people in a significant and prolonged state of distress, nor are we working with people with persistent patterns of significant, unhelpful, or detrimental behaviour. I realise it's very easy to say to you, you should not do counselling, but very difficult for you to actually know where the boundary lies, and this needs your personal consideration. Because by being there, in the moment when the need for the more specialist support is revealed, we're already in the situation. We can't just say to our mentee, stop talking and go to counselling, please. Spotting a counselling need is hard because it's common and it's absolutely okay that your mentees would feel and express some anger, frustration, or tearfulness while getting their concerns out in the open. Occasional stress at work is absolutely to be expected, and an emotional reaction to it doesn't automatically mean the mentee needs counselling. As a general rule, I'd recommend that if you as the mentor are feeling uncomfortable about the support needs of the mentee, then seek to change something. That might involve reaching out to the program manager or to an experienced colleague whilst maintaining the confidences of your mentee. Or it might involve you gently encouraging them to seek specialist support from a counselling service or to speak to their doctor. It's important for mentors to understand that stress is rooted in feelings of pressure, and some pressure is absolutely to be expected as we work to deadlines and through periods requiring intensified workload. Tolerance of pressure can vary from person to person as well, depending on the support mechanisms they've got access to and their previous experiences. Prolonged pressure turns to stress as it depletes the physical and mental reserves that help us cope. An important first step is to familiarise yourself with the symptoms of stress and to support your mentee to also come to an awareness. Pause here to look at the signs of stress. Firstly, let your mentee know that you've noticed they're stressed, and importantly, that you want to help them to reduce that stress. Respect their choice to discuss or not to discuss this issue. If they do choose to work on it, now is a great time to just listen. Don't jump straight into planning mode. People often need to vocalise a concern or a complicated issue as a way of processing and understanding it. If you yourself have some tried and tested ways of managing stress, ask their permission to offer them some good coping strategies. Unproductive coping strategies include things like wishful thinking, self-blame, excessive worrying, ignoring the problem, keeping things to yourself, working longer and longer hours, or alcohol abuse. Positive coping includes things like making immediate and short-term to-do lists rather than long-term ones, focusing on the positives, seeking help to get things done, improving relationships and friendships, keeping reasonable working hours, and taking regular time out to relax or to pursue a hobby or interest. Don't talk about your own stress or workload or how busy you are. However empathetic you may think it will sound, what your mentee will hear is, well, my problems are bigger than your problems. Having some control over our schedule and workload is an essential part of managing stress. Help your mentee to make a list or a mind map that gets all the clutter out of their head and onto a page or screen. Help them look for ways to reduce the list and to prioritise. Chunk things down into tangible objectives that they can tackle one at a time. And support your mentee or coachee to prioritise speaking to their line manager or supervisor, anyone who can validate the plan they've created for reducing stress. Encourage them to keep reasonable or flexible working hours, to take breaks, and to schedule in some time off. If you notice that your mentee exhibits combinations of stress symptoms for a long time, they can't relax, they're experiencing symptoms of panic, or they're indicating to you that they rarely, if ever, feel like they're in control, it's probably a sign they need some more specialist support. In which case, you'll want to support them to seek counselling in a way that doesn't disempower or patronise them. Use your own judgment about the needs of your mentee to adapt the following phrasing, and I recommend you practice saying this or something similar out loud. Now, if they're defensive about you mentioning this, or if they get upset about it, try to practice just being okay with that. Being upset or defensive is a really normal reaction to have in this situation. If it's helpful to the mentee, there's no need to end the mentoring partnership. Mentoring and counselling can complement each other. If your mentee feels that they'd like to continue working together with you on appropriate mentoring issues, and you're prepared to be an ally to them as they reach out for additional support, it will make a real difference to their perceptions of being able to take control of their situation.